Hello and welcome to the GBC Productions channel. This is episode 52. In this video, I will be taking apart an all-in-one printer. This happens to be made by Dell. It has the scanner, copier, and fax machine features. Copy, scan, fax, and photo. So we're going to see what's inside this thing and what made it work when it actually did work. Now under this little cover are the rollers that pull in the paper for copying or scanning. Here's one of the little rollers. So here I am on the back. I'm going to pull the power supply out. Here's a power supply. Maybe we'll get a chance to take a look inside of that later. I'm not entirely sure how to get into this machine, but we'll find a way in. Not much on the bottom, except a couple screws here. So I'm just going to start taking screws out and see what falls off of the thing. So what comes off when I do that? Well, nothing yet. I have a feeling that those are for the hinges for the lid. Alright, there's some screws here on this upper lid. I'm going to go ahead and take those out. Looks like there's a couple of screws here, and this whole assembly should lift out. Though I have to remember to take this other screw out first. So here's a motor that runs all of these rollers. So this assembly is for feeding the paper in for the scanner. So I'm going to carefully disconnect the wires and set it aside. Now I don't think there's much else in this lid. I'm going to go ahead and take it the rest of the way off camera. With the upper lid off, we can start taking apart the lower lid, or the actual scanner part, and then we'll look at the printer. Now, let's see if I can figure out how to get into this lower lid. Not exactly sure. I'm going to get this paper tray out of the way. I'll remove this wire too. Got it. Now I'm going to set the printer assembly aside and we can go further into the top here, or the scanner portion. So I got into the lid off camera. There's not much to it. Here's the scanner assembly. And then there's a motor down at this end that has a belt that moves a little shuttle back and forth and moves the scanner back and forth. Now it's time to get into the printer portion. We'll also take a look inside this keypad at some point. I did take off this clear plastic portion, and there are a couple of labels that were under there. There were two of them, one under the other, and here they are. So I got a little access panel off here that gets to all the wiring. I'm just carefully yanking the wiring out of here. So I have the cover off now. There we go. Set it aside. There's a little box here we're going to have to take a look in, and on the end of this is a mini USB connector. At least that's what it looks like. Let's take a peek inside of that now. I'll disconnect the other end of the cable. Alright, I got a little mini USB cable. Let's see if we can get a little closer look at this. A little bit of a glare. Alright, I'm going to take the keypad out next. I just disconnect the cable here and then lift it out. We'll get into that soon. I'm not going to go too much further into the printer portion of it because I found a little problem that could end up being very messy. Just a moment, I got to take you off the tripod. I'm not sure how well this is going to show up on camera, but down here, and if I move the print head, down here, that is all wet ink. I can just see this becoming a huge mess if I go any further, so this is as far into it as I'm going to go. There's tubing and a little pump that's supposed to pump the ink into that little sponge, but it looks like it never worked. So that's as far as I'm going into this. We're going to get into the keypad now. Looks like I have a couple screws on the back here. Now I'll just carefully pry it open. And it's out. Here's the back of the board. I'm going to disconnect this cable. As you can tell, that was a non-disconnectable cable. It pulled some traces right off the board. Oh, at least they have arrows pointing at the 4 screws I want to remove. Looks like they want to make sure that I don't remove the wrong 4 screws of the 4 screws that are on this board. And here we go. Just a bunch of little buttons and an LCD display. And that chip is probably the controller chip for the LCD display. And that's it. That's all there is. I can see all that ink in the bottom turning into a huge mess if I went any further. So this is it. Don't forget to subscribe for more, mash that like button, and comment below. Until next time, this is Uncle D from GBC Productions, signing off.